La geoquímica del proyecto, Celina Suárez, tuvo un momento eureka. Dijo, estudiemos los elementos de tierra rara. A medida que los animales se descomponen en el sedimento, los elementos de tierra rara se incorporan a los esqueletos mientras van convirtiéndose en fósiles. Son una huella dactilar. Eso nos mostraría si los huesos habían sido enterrados juntos desde el principio. Así que tomamos muestras de los huesos y ¡voilà! Todos tenían exactamente la misma huella dactilar de tierra rara. Definitivamente murieron en el mismo lago al mismo tiempo. Las posibilidades de que los tiranosaurios acaben juntos en el mismo lugar son casi nulas. Y la extensión de las edades indica que tenían que ser una familia, que murieron juntos y que fueron enterrados juntos. Lo que nos trajo de vuelta a la idea principal de que era un animal social. Tanto los científicos como la cultura popular vieron a los tiranosaurios como asesinos solitarios que funcionan al mismo nivel de un cocodrilo o un elefante. Pero, ¿y si no es así? ¿Qué pasa si todo lo que creíamos saber sobre el comportamiento de los tiranosaurios es incorrecto? La única razón por la que los grandes depredadores forman grupos es para garantizar el éxito en la captura de presas grandes y peligrosas. Y ahí surge la pregunta, ¿podrían haber sido cazadores en manada? ¿Alguien más se encontró con algo así antes? Existe otro sitio en América del Norte, en Canadá. El letal Albertosaurus era un hombre de familia. Los fósiles encontrados en Dry Island Buffalo Jump sugieren que este depredador cazaba en manada. Y luego escuché que existía otro sitio de mortalidad en masa en Montana. Esos eventos representan un registro del comportamiento del tiranosaurio. Ahora hay 3 sitios en América del Norte con 3 especies diferentes de tiranosaurios y todos tienen un parentesco cercano con el T-Rex. Quizás el T-Rex habría tenido un comportamiento similar. Los paleontólogos usan los huesos para aprender sobre la anatomía, pero esos sitios nos enseñaron cómo vivían realmente los dinosaurios.
Es muy sorprendente ver cómo estamos empezando a ponerle una cara a esta criatura que todo el mundo cree conocer, pero de la que no se sabe mucho. Si todos pertenecen a la misma unidad familiar, podría ser muy importante para comprender la dinámica de los tiranosaurios.
Así que eran sociales, y no solo como familias, sino también como cazadores. Los hallazgos como estos desafían la idea de que los tiranosaurios no eran tan inteligentes. De hecho, es posible que hayan cooperado durante las cacerías. La idea de que sea la máquina de matar más grande que haya pisado la tierra, ahora con la inteligencia de un lobo y la complejidad para cazar en manada, es aterradora. Definitivamente es un renacimiento. La tecnología nos permite obtener cada vez más detalles de los fósiles que encontramos.
Los descubrimientos que están haciendo los paleontólogos van a cambiar la forma en que se representan los dinosaurios en la cultura popular.
Nos estamos acercando a la verdad. Démosle a los dinosaurios la dignidad que se ganaron.
As he was approaching, he took his shoes off. He's barefoot there. Don't do what we're doing now. In 1 year, there will be no rhinos here.
Luckily, we could save another baby rhino, so for me it's mixed feelings. Will he be okay? You know, will he be healthy, and hopefully the hyenas didn't get him, and hopefully he's not being hacked by a poacher. Come, Baba. Hey.
Chok. Ja, we zijn ook om bang weg, elke keer.
Dan kan me invat. Ik doe nog kan dit zo niet.
Dan kan ek het nog rus.
Oké.
Dan drink hulle vinnig.
Als jij heb is dan meer, dan kan ik het zoeken. Dan ga ik hem even kijken wanneer ik aan betaald nog.
Goed.
En dan los ons hem, dan draai je hem om.
Do we really know enough of these animals? Remember, this is an epidemic. It's not research being done for years and years. This is now. This is in front of you now. There's no textbooks that you can go back to.
His hood came off. They fucking basic off.
Weet jy wat ek doen?
Kom Baba, hier. Niet te helpen.
Is scared. So if you sometimes scared, you want to fight. You want to say, I'm actually strong. But he's not strong. He's scared. He's very, very scared. Daar sy. Kom sy gou.
Well, it wasn't too old either, eh?
No, last night 12. I think last night at 12. So that's the baby. So now that's the baby coming here now. And that's unnecessary.
Kom liriki, kom. There you are.
Working in a Rana orphanage, I think it's much more than people can imagine. It's not an 8 to 5. So from the morning to the evening, through the night, till the next morning, 24/7. You cannot take an animal in and then not be able to look after it in a very responsible way. These two are two of the newest orphans. Her tail, we're still busy with the healing of her tail. So the hyenas took her tail off completely. And these guys. Morning, Ratu, and Badger, and Phoebe. Black rhinos are now on the critically endangered list. If we cannot save the rhino, we can't save anything. Come on, look at them. They're prehistoric. You know what's so sad? They poached his mom. But that day, 2 rhinos lost their life. His mom died and they also shot his sister. I'm just glad we could save him. It is so sad to think this in emotional pain and then add on physical pain. In the beginning you never know it's actually a hell of an epidemic. So in the beginning you have this one animal coming in, then another animal coming in, and then suddenly there's all these animals. Then I realized, listen, it can't be 4 gods and us. It must be full on security. These people are here to kill the rhino, to get the horns, and who's ever in their way, they will take out.
We're busy here with Operation Night Dog. It is suspects that we are hunting now for the murder of Piet and Tilla van Zyl. Piet van Zyl was a very well-known rhino breeder. He was brutally murdered. His wife was also shot and killed. The suspects are believed to be one of his ex-workers who was involved with poaching on his farm. So that informant gave us the information. Hopefully we will be successful in arresting the suspects. Ja.
Nu voort. Kom eens weer achter jullie voertuigen. Stay!
Stay where you are! Stay! Get out! Hands! Let me see your hands! Get out! Let me see your hands! Get out! Let me see your hands! Get out! Get out! On the floor! On the floor! Turn it around! Turn it around! What's your name? Where do you stay?
A variety of agencies within South Africa is trying to stop rhino poaching in its tracks. Whether we like it or not, there is a war going on.
There's a much longer, deeper history to this whole problem. Rhinos were taken out on a large scale in Africa by the early colonial settlers. Initially, a lot of rhinos were simply eaten. They were simply shot for the pot and for sport and their trophies. But the modern rhino poaching crisis, probably we can trace its roots to the late 60s and early 70s with the oil crisis in Saudi Arabia and Yemeni workers going to work on the Saudi oil fields and suddenly having a lot of disposable income which they then wanted to use to buy traditional rhino horn dagger handles. And that created a spike in demand, which then started a poaching crisis in East Africa, which then slowly worked its way down through the continent.
It's just the fact that I grew up here. I mean, that's the only life that I knew, and there was nothing else I ever wanted to do. If I couldn't get in here, I would have gone farming. My dad was appointed as a section ranger in 1963. I was privileged enough to grow up under those conditions. And then in 1985 I was appointed in the Kruger Park as a trials ranger. And having started on wilderness trials was really, really special because you were walking every single day of your life, interpreting what you saw to the people, sharing everything of nature with the people. And that was really nice, you know, it was probably the most carefree time of my life. Effectively have had to change from a conservation-oriented person to a soldier that's got training in guerrilla warfare tactics.
3, 2, 1, go! These drills will save your life in the future if you listen to what I am saying and you take in what you are learning.
Now this position is an ambush position.
Our uniform has gone from khakis to olive drab green to what you see now, and that is not for any other reason than that is what is required now. It's warfare stuff.
You see him? That's firing. Remember to aim. This guy must come there. Don't drop this guy down there. That's why you are shooting.
What we're doing now, we're going to have to do for a lot longer. 20, 30 years. I don't know. Until we can be the old ranger again when the rhino poaching hopefully stops one day. If you look at the size of the Kruger Park, it's 2 million hectares, which is the size of a country like Israel, Wales, or one of those smaller countries, and you look at the amount of rangers that we have, which is about 450 odd, you're looking at sort of one ranger per 3,000 hectares, which is a tall order to try and patrol the area effectively.
In a sniper, I can shoot. I can shoot 2 or 3, but first I start with the big one.
How much are you guys being paid for this rhino?
A kilo. This depends. That from 85,000 to maybe 120.
And where do you do the poaching?
Not only the Kruger Park.
Why only the Kruger Park?
Because it is plenty there.
Now, when you guys go to poach, how big is your crew or the team that you sent inside?
Less than 3.
Okay, why is that?
Because if they see the ranger there, they say, hey, let's hide. If we're a group, we can't hide. But if we're 3, we're going to hide it. Maybe the ranger crossing there, we just hide ourselves.
You've got your bosses, and then you've got his lieutenants who's working with him. He will make all the decisions. But the people under him will do his dirty work for him. The lieutenant will organize all the firearms, the food, the cell phones, the clothes, whatever is needed for them to go into Kruger. The lieutenants will organize it for you.
What kind of hunting rifles do you give them?
375, 458. Yes, it's very powerful gun. Powerful weapon. Yes.
These guns that you use, where do you get them?
You get from Mozambique. If you go to the Mozambique, if you got the right channel, you just give them the money. There's a way to come out from Mozambique with the guns, but I can't say, I can't tell you how it goes. There is a special product, it's called a subsonic, and then sometimes we put the silence, but it's a self-made.
How many rhino have you killed?
About 12, 13, 14.
You don't even keep count?
I don't even keep count, I just count money.
ni titwa ni ri wa nkoka siku rin'wana na rin'wana leri ni pfuka nkarhi ni tikuma ni mbala hembe ya mi for strap swa sejeni fika laniwa hi 2009 ni ya malala ntlha ni ta tirha na nkhumba don i ni teke kusukela lowa sala hi yanga ni lava kusukela lowa sala ni vuya le squad attention yambukisa squad rotea about 1 2 3 1 send the wind so long start let's go inside one of the two Louis send the wind all out le long start Louis masiku ndzhaku le shota zirko mara ava shota leswaku va xotela tinyama a vo xotela nyama ntsena sweswo swi cincile a va ha xoti nyama va xota timhaka ta ku va lava mali hi xitalo xoti lebyi nga kona lebyi va lavaka mali se ku na ku hambana sweswi va hlota yini va ta hi swibamu va lava mali and mali va yi lavaka yini nkarhi wa yini ntsena.
As a trials ranger, I came in when the rhino poaching and elephant poaching sort of merged. We thought was rough, and it was at that stage. It was the worst poaching area in the park. We got that under control in the late 90s, and in between all that you're trying to do all the conservation things, which is your core business. It was easier then to strike a balance between the law enforcement and the conservation management task. All the criminal activities have just escalated. You know, you can call it what you want to, rhino or whatever it is. to where we are now.
And you think, will this be a good day, because we're going to do dehorning. We definitely do dehorning for security reasons. Look at the history. What places our orphanage has been hit because they didn't dehorn the rhinos? Is this not one of the things we need to do to make sure that animals and the people here are safe?
They've immobilized the animal. They're going to begin dehorning her now. The idea is to reduce the horn because they're going to be going out and grazing in the wild permanently now.
I wish there was a situation where I can say that we do not need to dehorn. It's not something that you want the animal to go through at all. But I have two pictures in my mind. The one is where we sit with a rhino that's immobilized by a veterinarian. Dehorn it in a humane way. Then I sit with another picture where this animal is lying there dead and the blood running from its face because of this horn.
Come. Oxygen. We need oxygen here. Oxygen. Get oxygen.
You want to get oxygen?
Can you feel that? No. Please. It's got the heart rate. We can't tell what the breathing because the breathing isn't no, the heart's nice and strong. Okay. You see what's going to wake up, eh?
It's fine.
But she's going to be wide awake.
I know.
Okay, well done, Joe.
Unfortunately, we need to understand even a small piece of horn on a baby rhino is worth so much on the black market. They will kill big rhinos, sub-adult rhinos, baby rhinos because they can sell it on the black market for a lot of money. So why do we dehorn at Kieftenwald? It's one of the things we need to do to keep these animals safe. Yes, we do have dogs. Yes, we do have a mounted unit.
Jump!
They are with guards 24/7. This is another tool in the toolbox to keep them from coming in and killing even the baby rhinos. We have to use all the things that we can in our power to keep them alive and safe.
Pretty much the ideal. It was like growing up in it's hard to explain. I think you become a person, all the memories come back when you think about it. It's like these books you read about these bush families and how it was and the things that we could experience as kids. Going with my dad, going out with him during the day, experiencing the things that he did and helping him where you could, and go on elephant captures and work with the vets, and I honestly think it was the best time. Quickly girls, make dad a sandwich, grab my torch, get my rifle, someone get the gate, okay thanks, love you, bye. This is such a common occurrence in our home. Things happen so fast and are so unpredictable that one never knows what's going to happen next. The impact of this rhino war on us as families of rangers in Kruger is enormous, and I'm sure that we speak on behalf of every wife, husband, daughter and son of a ranger involved in this war. It isn't nice getting a goodbye kiss on the cheek, knowing full well where dad is going. So few people really have an idea of the responsibilities, stress and strain rangers of today have to deal with, and only friends, families and colleagues will understand what fighting this war means to these men and women. People don't fully understand the fear of lying awake at night when dad is out seeing informers or on anti-poaching operations, wondering if he will return safely or if the seat at the dinner table will be forever empty. What if he never gets the chance to walk me down the aisle one day? Yes, this may sound melodramatic, but for us it's a reality.
You don't have to ask a guy why he's here. He's not here for the salary or for the money. He's here because his heart's here. And we'll fight till the very last. I never realized how badly it actually does affect the family. What they actually feel. It was actually quite disturbing to hear how it affects them. I wasn't brought up as a soldier. I wasn't brought up to go and hunt people down and shoot people in defense and that. If you've shot a person and you've seen him lying there, that picture is imprinted on your mind for the rest of your life. I'm telling you now, when you turn the lights off at night, it will get very dark sometimes. Tatlong chelala ba mi ma?
Yelwe.
Sala na wana la ko plat. Asher kwi abo chelala pa. Ha? Aba mere ke yi.
Abu mergo. Abu faltenga.
God delicious. Waenda kwa utaka ngani? Imutaka mada.
Gina la ku kana sa.
Mutaka mano na la ke phela marhumbu mar.
Yes. Yeah, let's have no even fly on nasinga bime ras.
The root of the problem is the demand in the Asian countries. That is the root of the problem, and that we're not going to change. That is not going to change in our lifetimes. The biggest impact that we can have and what we should focus on is taking out the middle part of the chain.
If we look thoroughly into the whole crime code of rhino poaching, there must be people involved who's the bosses, planning the whole poaching situation. Broadball, we started with Broadball basically in 2012. Our motivation for Project Broadball is to get the kingpins, to get the guys who's involved into rhino poaching. Because we're losing rhinos like flies. We need to get these guys now, who's involved with rhino poaching, these bosses, take the head of the snake off.
Someone is speaking about you when you are operational, you will be referred to as 701, 702, 703. Your names will never be mentioned. Right.
Motivation for Project Broadpool is to get the kingpins, to get the guys who's involved into rhino poaching. Because we're losing rhinos like flies. We need to get these guys now, who's involved with rhino poaching, these bosses, take the head of the snake off.
Someone is speaking about you when you are operational, you will be referred to as 701, 702, 703. Your names will never be mentioned. Right.
These guys, they were involved with this syndicate for about a year plus, and then luckily they turned.
How much have they paid you?
For the first time I went poaching, they paid me 30,000, and for the second time they paid me 15,000.
Okay, the first time that you poached, how many rhinos did you poach?
The first time it was 2 rhinos.
2 rhinos?
Yes.
How many ones?
4 ones.
Now the current subject that we're talking about, who is it that we're talking about?
Currently, we're speaking of the well-known Ushengu. He's the number one. He can give me the firearm, I'll go and kill the rhino there. Comfortably so. In the police vehicle, he can go and kill. Or bring the one, pass through the gate where you think there is enough security, but there is no security to him. Can go and give it to him, he can pay me the money that he wishes to pay me, because I can't argue with him when it comes to money. He can give me as he pleases. Because if I argue, I think I might not take 24 hours roaming around. I believe he got a lot of blood in this end that have killed so many people.
So that's the man that we're talking about. Now, just for the record, who's the other person that you poached for in the beginning?
John Lalum.
were to say to me that Mchenga is currently the number one in South Africa when it comes to rhino poaching, and Big Joe Nyalunga is the number two in South Africa when it comes to rhino poaching. And should Mchenga be removed, Big Joe will take over.
That's where Joe will come and be more powerful than before.
Through the investigation, we picked up that they were the real masterminds behind the poaching within Kruger National Park. We do believe that 65% of the rhinos that gets killed in South Africa is orchestrated by these guys.
With the informant, it is easier to infiltrate a specific target. At the end of the day, intelligence, investigation, prosecution. The one leads to the other, and the one can't do without the other.
To sum up the poaching crisis, well, it's a kind of a vicious circle. The demand in East Asia has obviously remained, it's obviously persisted. It's difficult to characterize the demand. It consists of two elements. One is this long-standing traditional medicinal use, and then there's this additional prestige market. So you've got this combined product that's part ornament, part medicine, and the two sort of overlap and bleed into each other somewhat.
This is a machine from Vietnam, and there's obviously a manufacturer manufacturing this machine. They come with the grinding plate. That's how it works. You plug it in and it just goes around, and this is what happens. And then you have a certain amount of powder, which is that generally traditional medicine. You put it in your guest's wine glass, and then you are a gracious host and he's a happy guest, and that's how it works. With rhino horn, it is a status symbol nowadays, and there's a young generation getting into it. What the average consumer in China buys these days is this medaillons. They hang here, they have a hole in it, but then you have it carved with your own emblem or a Buddha figure or whatever you're looking for. But these are now becoming very common, of about $400, $500, $600. That's becoming affordable to an ever wider segment of the middle class. All these products, which are offered now on the internet to thousands of people by hundreds of traders. Now we are into rhino horn, I think, starting here, and then the combs here, and then you see now into the slabs. And it's all delivered to your hotel or to your residence in a courier package, just like FedEx or whatever. Nobody asks any question. These are all these rhino horn pieces. It just illustrates how commercial this trade has become.
You've got a very powerful driver of the demand, and people are still willing to pay very high prices to get it. It's a scarce commodity as well, so the scarcity also underpins the price, and the rarer it becomes, obviously the higher the price goes. And
well, here we are in a 19th century museum in Dublin, Ireland. Animals from Africa amongst the most stupendous exhibits in the building, including this wonderful black rhinoceros. The most significant and obvious feature here is that the horns have been removed, which is something that we did as a security measure for the safety of our rhinos. It's kind of absurd that on the far side of the planet almost, in European museums, we are actively dehorning rhinos that died over 100 years ago.
When economies are under pressure, when there's political instability, people have shorter time horizons, they need to feed themselves and their families, and they're more likely to turn to any form of crime.
Ever since we've started now with this operation, it's come to my attention that a policeman has approached you guys. This police also working for Mshena. This policeman was his name. They call him Cloud Ubis. Mshena gives instructions. Excellent police. Yes. We're able to take in the guns into the airport, drive in the poachers, and bring them out. So they're supposed to prevent rhino poaching, but they're actually assisting. Yeah, they're speeding, they're catalyst in the killing of the rhinos. If he can control the cops works within that organization, and he can control everybody that will go and poach.
Just through this operation, we've linked 3 police officers. The few good policemen there, they are being threatened. They're working in the worst conditions. It's a very minute amount of people that is making the name and organization bad. We need to get rid of those bad guys, to get these corrupt guys out of the system.
The reintroduction back into the wild starts when you receive them in the beginning. The first 24 hours of every orphan calf is the most important. That basically determine the reintroduction and how easy it will be or how difficult it will be. So we need to find them very quick after the poaching incident, because that makes all the difference.
The times when we can lift that little animal and give it a second chance, and you associate from where they came, you remember that one comes from there and that one name comes from there. The specific case with Thor, I remember very vividly. We were called to go and pick up a little rhino calf. The mother had been shot. They'd hacked her horn off and severed her spine. And I'll never forget, all she could do was move her head from side to side. The vet makes a call to put her down. You know, after all that, you got to ask yourself, why? What for? And her little calf was with her through all that. We ran up, got all the blindfolds on, stabilized it, put up a drip and everything, and we flew it down to care for wild.
The day when Thor arrived, and I got a phone call from Jan Malan, and he said, whoa, Petronel, send the crate, there's a baby black rhino. Yeah, you got beautiful ears. And I just couldn't wait to see him. I remember putting the bottle into his mouth, and I feel in his mouth teeth, and I thought, this is new. It was a whole new challenge for all of us, because remember, in diet, in behavior, everything was different. We needed to feed him the branches. We needed to make sure that he gets more lucerne and leafy bits and so on. So it's clearly black rhino behavior. So it became, for me, everything a black rhino must be. That little bit of aggressiveness and bossiness. In his personality, it was absolutely unique to work with Thor, against working with white rhino as a crush. Every day, I couldn't wait to see him. thing, but there's nothing going on in the tank at the moment.
The aim and object of this project is to breed rhinos and to protect them. I bought my first rhinos in '93, and at that point I'd never met a rhino. Never owned one, never darted one, never seen one at close quarters. The only place I'd seen a rhino was in Kruger Park, a few very far away. I became more and more familiar not only with rhinos as I got to know them, as I got to know their personalities, but also I got to know the slaughter, the genocide that has been happening in Africa. I believe that this is the recipe we should be using to save our rhinos from extinction. This recipe, what I do on this project, that's what we should be doing. This is the feeding ground of the rhinos. We feed them about 4 ton a year of concentrates, additional feed in other words. The reason you need to feed them is so that they can calve better and more often. In order to do that, you're going to need a lot of money. And obviously the more rhinos you have, the more those costs will escalate. As a project, I certainly believe that I've proved it, both from the point of view of you can breed better and you can protect better. It's not harmful to deworm a rhino. It's nothing. It's 10% of the stress that it would be to move him. And we move rhinos all over the world all the time. Deworming a rhino is not stressful, doesn't hurt, and it grows again. So this is the recipe to save a rhino from extinction, with one hell of a lot of income, which the rhino could supply off its nose sustainably forever if we let it. Now, having taken it off to protect the rhino, surely it is stupid. Nobody would ever leave it in his house because you will get murdered for it. But surely it's stupid to go and put it in an international security company where you've got to pay a lot of money every month to both insure it and store it. Why not sell it and let it keep the rest of the species alive? That's common sense.
Okay, so the problem with this whole debate around rhino horn trade legalization is that if the ban was lifted, there would be certain beneficiaries, there'd be winners, and there would be losers. So where you stand in this debate depends very much on where you sit. CITES is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Fauna and Flora. So there's a lot of misunderstanding about what CITES actually is. CITES is not an organization, it's a treaty. It's a convention, and it's actually simply a contract between all the countries that are members of the convention.
Swaziland assures the floor that it is not interested in the illegal trade of rhino horn or anything else which does not bring rightful and legal benefits to Swaziland and its people. The legalization of trade in rhino horn must be tried as a possible solution to the demise of rhinos.
At least as an option against a 39-year-old ban which isn't working. It's a sensible, pragmatic thing to do. And I honestly don't know how that can be argued against.
Will legalization of trade stop rhino poaching? My answer is, why buy something that you can steal for free?
The people who are against the legal trade in rhino horn is keeping the illegal trade alive.
The CITES ban did work.
And a lot of the pro-trade guys say, well, there's been no success in CITES from 1977. But they conveniently forget that in 1993, the pressure was put on the main consumer countries, Yemen, Taiwan, Korea, China, to outlaw the consumption of rhino horn, and demand ceased. And with no demand, poaching stopped.
The CITES ban has not saved the life of a single rhino on the African continent.
If you go back and look at the poaching numbers of rhino in South Africa pre-2009, it was minor, it was ticking over. Then came prohibition, the South African moratorium, a total shutdown, and the poaching numbers escalated. Within 3 years, we were losing over 1,000 rhino a year.
This meeting needs to send a clear message to the global community that rhino horn belongs to rhinos and that it's not for sale.
I think it's really a pity when humanity has reduced an animal to the tip of its nose, and that's all it's worth. And when we reduce them to their horn, and it's just some piece of literally equivalent of fingernails, it just does not make any sense to me whatsoever.
My proposition for a trade would be to put a regular, sustainable amount of rhino horn on an open auction. If the price goes through the roof because the demand goes through the roof, we'll have more money to protect our rhinos, and we can spend much more money on high-tech stuff to protect them. If the opposite happens and we start producing more than the demand and the price comes down, well, there will be less incentive for the poacher to kill our rhino. Either way, let it be a free market system. Don't choke it, don't ban it, don't moratorium it. Let it be a free market system, and the rhinos will do the rest.
I have yet to see an economic model that they have produced, the pro-trade lobby has produced, that can show at what level poachers exit the market. Is it going to be with rhino horn at 50,000, at 20,000, at 10,000, at 5,000? Where is it going to happen? And now, what I can tell you is that on a continent which has 40% of its population living on or below the poverty line, there's incentive for people to poach at any price level.
If legal trade was allowed and rhino achieved the kind of market value that I believe they're entitled to, rhino will become the most protected and most valuable animal in Africa. Full stop. Why? Because it's able to pay for itself.
Once you've started the demand, doesn't matter even if it's just 2,000 kilograms you want to sell a year. Once you started that, you can't just say, I've only got 2,000 kilograms, I'm only going to sell over here, and this is going to be the use for that. Because the criminals will say, well, hang on, I've got now legal cover, and I can go and satisfy this entire market. Once you have a little bit of legal, you're finished.
The time is not right for the commercialization of southern white rhino horn, when indications are that it will instead fuel, demand, and undermine conservation of enforcement efforts. Respectfully, we firmly oppose. Thank you, Madam Chair.
We believe that if only we achieve 50% of market share, we are already saving 50% of the animals that are currently being killed.
Should we continue to enrich the poachers through the illegal sale of the rhino horn, or shouldn't we legalize its trade and channel the proceeds into wildlife conservation and the livelihoods of communities?
What's worrying me is that this pro-trade is fueling a myth. What it's doing is it's dooming rhino to be behind fences forever. With all the communities, all the guns, all the helicopters, you physically will not keep those rhino alive because their value is too big and human nature is too greedy.
I think it's extremely risky to put an endangered species in an experiment that could lead to its extinction.
The thing that people can't understand is they say, oh, it's a risk to start trade, but it's a risk to carry on with a trade ban.
Trade is banned. So to change the law, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. We have the precautionary principle, which says if you do not understand or you cannot quantify the implications of what you're doing, you don't do it.
If you vote yes, you are in support of the proposal to alter the listing of Swaziland's white rhino. If you vote no, the situation stays as it is.
People say we must continue with the precautionary approach. We've been doing that for years and it's not helping. And this was one of the reasons why we made our proposal to CITES.
The result is yes, 26, abstain, 17, and no, 100. So this proposal is rejected.
If you keep looking at what could go wrong, you reach a position of paralysis analysis. Deciding on doing nothing is actually doing something.
The rhino has become a victim to moral tribalism. We have different people with very different perspectives on what the problem is, and they're reluctant to actually have a conversation with one another, to sit down around a table and try and figure out a solution that works for everybody.
If you just listen to the peace and tranquility, that is why we all became rangers. That's why every young man wanted to become a ranger in Kruger Park. It's because of this vastness and just being in touch with nature from sunrise till sunset, every day of your life. So this is just a little side story, but when
There's a black rhino. Shut it, son. Just cut and get back to the bucky. Just quietly, just get near there. Leave all this here. Just leave it here. This is why I became a ranger. Is to have moments like this. This is why I became a ranger. Shit, guys. Do you know what this is?
to see a bloody black rhino. There's only about 350, 400 of them in the Kruger National Park. And a few thousand left in Africa. They're very, very rare and very threatened. You cannot believe this is the first time in my life in the Kruger National Park that I've experienced this. I'm being very honest. Hey, it's the first time in my life that I've been sitting somewhere where a black rhino's come down to drink. In my life. A few years ago when we were still the old rangers, it would mean a beautiful evening to be out. The modern day ranger looks at the full moon coming up like that. That just means easy poaching.
To see, well, even in this group with the white rhinos, he moved out, walking aside, browsing aside. He was ready to remove himself. He was ready in this rehabilitation process to go and be the black rhino he's supposed to be. Come on, boy, come through. Hi! The browsing and the normal stuff came easy. But the emotional stuff never came easy for Thor. He had good days, and he had days that you can see, yes, see, today is not a Thor day. Today, he's a bit lost. Maybe this big next step was, maybe he was alone as a black rhino, maybe he was still scared, maybe the trauma of seeing what happened to his mom was sometimes just overwhelming to him. It was overwhelming to all of us just to see that. And then I got a phone call and I said to him, but Thor's down. He's lying down. And I thought, but how can he, what do you mean he's lying down, you know? Maybe it was just a long night coming into winter and him getting used to just grazing or browsing in the veld. So just see how he is and maybe just give him an extra bottle of milk and maybe just up his energy, take his temperature.
Okay, and I'll keep the door open. This one, the door handle is broken. There inside. On that side.
Weren't there, there'd be far more rhino shot than incursions because they'd come in and shoot 20 in one go. People don't understand how many rhinos we save. The vastness, the terrain, the few ranges that we have, that's a phenomenal effort by the ranger.
Yeah, Brad, I don't know. The dogs seem to have lost the track here for some other reason. And, we're going to have to make a call soon because we're just burning fuel now. They must have got to ground in this thick stuff here, and either there's just too strong a scent pull, or the dogs have actually just lost it. Okay, Brad, I think let's call it. The terrain that they've got into here, we're not going to see these guys from the air. I think we must head back to base.
I think we must agree that we can't just wake up every day and cut square and chase people all day. We can't keep on doing the same of what we're doing every day because it's not working at the moment. These are in and out at night, okay, which is incredibly hard to counter. I mean, look how shallow they are. Well, let's say about 1.5 km, 2 k's. Okay, those are also in and out. Which these, yeah. Okay, so most of the stuff happens at night. There's taxi drivers, there's lawyers, there's police, there's protection services, and there's rangers. The guy said it. When Shane Lewis come, he picked 3 guys up the other day at Protea Hotel, and he entertained them for the whole night, confirmed. We've got to break the routine. We've become too routine. We've got to break it somewhere, guys, and I know it's hard, and I know the challenges, and I know all the things around it. There's not someone who doesn't understand, but we just got to break the routine and become unpredictable and get guys in and around and moving and moving.
So you've been going out to the farm at a very good condition in the rehabilitation process. When you get to release, it's interesting how some animals grab that release and just go with it, and others are just too traumatized and been through rough times, and then was very restless for the whole night. So I'm actually quite glad we got into the other side and that they can just rest. Hello? Did you get any picture?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're coming.
That is so true. We're coming. They're coming and you'll be ready. We're coming and we are going to kill them.
The target that we have now is Big Joseph Nayalunga.
Planned operation, everything is in place. The team that's going to go in is going to be 703, 702 and 700. Yes. Is that the way that you guys discussed? Yes.
Whatever information your informer gives you, you still need to gather evidence, which must also then link that evidence to whatever your informer is giving you. Through the intelligence that we gathered, we saw that the only means to get to them is to sell to them. Animals die naturally within Kruger, and then we would, through the authorization, get these horns from Santox, and then sell the horns to them, just to prove to the court that they really are involved.
Discussed, go to Joe, you guys do the deal there. Now we don't play games with him anymore.
The informers that we had was of such that Big Joe also trusted them. when he starts infiltrating these guys, he must do it in such a manner that they don't catch him out. Because the moment they suspect him, they will either kill him or harm him or in some way. So his life is also at risk.
Coming around. Come up to the front where your stomach is.
Good morning. Hello. We're just checking because I'm stuck in here. People come here, they do the wrong things around the corner.
That's only.
Die gat dat is dat een ding goed gezien, dus kap van.
Ja.
Ik denk net gegryp toe hulle.
Ja, fucking I didn't hear that. And I just saw you have been here.
Guys, the operation is a go. I just want to say from our side that thank you. Look after yourselves. Just do what you do best. Please bring these guys to justice.
During the rehabilitation process of a rhino, they do go to the veld to graze there, to spend time there, to see if they will make it. When Phil then went out, he was the only black rhino and he was with a group of white rhino. And during one of those circumstances where they was almost play fight, it looks like two of them went together and they hit on his hip almost, and they went a little bit up on his spine. I will give everything, everyone that I know of, we're going to throw at this. We're going to do massage machines that they send from America to us. We're going to do physio on him. We didn't leave Thor once.
No reaction down there. One more. 1, 2, 3. He's moving this leg normally as well, so the two legs are fine. There's no fractures because you can see he's moving. It must be around here somewhere. You just look at what he does now. I think it's a spinal problem.
Tense. Really tense. You don't know what's happening there. What we know of Big Joe Nyalunga, the possibility, if something might go wrong, that with the crimes that he was involved with previously, the possibility that he might harm our agent or even our informers is there.
House number. Inside there, you were treated wanted to see the rhino, they wanted the best thing. So it was very much excited. After removing the flesh, he put it on the scale, he came back with a bag of money.
Okay, now, the amount that you received from him, how much?
It's 4,800. Yeah. He was very happy about the one which we brought to him. We can work together again very well. So he's eager and enthusiastic.
It was adrenaline that was pumping through you. Especially when you start seeing that, hey, we're moving in a certain direction, and with the information that we gathered and the evidence that we gathered, we can work on taking them to court to get a proper prosecution.
After the x-rays that Dr. Johan took and looking at it, I can remember him saying, Petronel, you don't have to worry too much, you know, it's not nervous system, it's a spinal injury, and it could clearly see the swelling, but it's not life-threatening. The bubbles in the syndrome. Here. Now, wait, see that? Over. It was so important to get him up so that he can start being strong again. His muscle movement, the flow of blood through him. You need to stand, you need to start walking, you need to start grazing again. I remember checking his vitals all the time and having the feeling of we were so close. I could see him fighting, eating, drinking. Everyone worked very, very hard, and Thor gasped what we want him to do. He wanted to stand. Okay. Nou wil ik staan. Dat is dat. Kan ook in jak? Wat is dat? Oh, dat is niet. Even so, I could feel in his soul he didn't want to give up. He was also ready to be the rhino and be in the veld and graze and browse and run. This stage is comforting us more than we're comforting him at the moment. And I remember Elias, one of more than we're comforting him at the moment. And I remember Elias, one of the guards, said to me, he can't feel him breathing against his hand. The next moment it was just gone. He left so silently and so peacefully. I put my face next to Thor and I wanted to give him my life. And I said, listen, Thor, there's enough humans in this world. You can take my life, but just don't go. Don't go. Rather take my breath and use it. My boys are fine, the farm is fine, the rest of the rhinos are fine. I can go and you can be here and you can be on top. There's enough humans, but there's not enough black rhinos.
genuine big jump. With the information that we gathered, we must get rid of these guys now, while we've got the information on them. Everybody that's involved with this whole syndicate must be arrested, if possible, and we're working towards it. At exactly the same date and time. Because remember, if we arrest one or two of them now, and we plan to do the others tomorrow, evidence might get lost. They might phone one another, say, hey, the police are here. Get rid of that, or get rid of that. So it's only it's for the protection of to gather the evidence ASAP.
Up here, guys. Welcome here. I just want to introduce you. This is Captain Boats.
Hello, guys. Right, okay, this project, we work on this project for almost 3 years now. We had 4 undercover agents. We had about 12 targets in the project, and it grows to about 16 to 17 suspects over the 3 years. Morning is D-Day for them. Then we're going to pick them up and we're going to roll up the project. The task force will only be involved by penetrating the premises, get everything safe for the investigating officers to move in, and from there they will take over.
All the work that we've been doing for the past 4 years, it's now, it's happening. We haven't slept for 4 years. Sorry about this. That was a big relief. It was, we worked our asses off to get these two guys. We really did. We worked our asses off.
The place is much better because here the main gate is far. So if we reach the gate, they will see us from far. It's very far. Very far.
I'm with you.
It's very far.
Is there an entrance from the backside?
Backside is fence. The yellow.
Is it an electric fence?
Yeah. Electric. When they my dad, I said it's fine. You can just run the yellow here. See the fence.
Police! Where are you on the line? Yeah, police! Barracks. Okay. Proceed. Go right there. Okay. Down the floor. On the floor. Down. Hey, come here. Go there. No! Put down the gun! Put the fucking gun down! Hey! Put the fucking gun down! Hey! Put the fucking gun down! Go down! Go down! Down! In your stomach! In your stomach! Oh, how are you?
The guided came in at 150 numbers, you said 150. That 150 said from our food out the street, so now So we got the call with the horns. Yes, guys. Let's go up when in front here.
It's hard to explain the satisfaction at the end of the whole thing. I mean, these are names that we heard about at the onset of the whole rhino poaching thing. These were hardened criminals that have been involved with all forms of crime and have slowly become the top dogs of the whole rhino horn trade. So for us to actually account for them and get them to a point where they can be brought to trial was immensely rewarding and satisfying, and a culmination of a lot of hard work by a lot of people and agencies.
Encontrarse con la naturaleza que nos rodea y aprender a convivir con el medio ambiente es trabajar por un planeta mejor.
Somos parte de la naturaleza y somos los responsables de gestionarla.
Un día para conectar con el mundo natural. Sábados del planeta. Este sábado. Explora más de National Geographic en Disney Plus.
Avatar, el camino del agua, ya disponible en Disney Plus.
Esta familia es nuestro fuerte.
Revive esta épica aventura y experimenta el fenómeno ganador de premios de la Academia una y otra vez en Disney Plus. Excelente.
Te veo.
Avatar, el camino del agua, ya disponible en Disney Plus.
Buenos Aires es sinónimo de encuentro. Nos gusta juntarnos a comer con amigos y mantener la tradición de reunirnos los domingos en familia. Somos apasionados, somos auténticos. Buenos Aires es vibrante. Siempre hay algo para hacer. Acá lo clásico se vuelve moderno. La ciudad respira arte y es un museo a cielo abierto. En Buenos Aires tenemos la mirada puesta en el futuro. ¿Existe un lugar más lindo y emocionante para encontrarnos? Buenos Aires de vuelta.
What I'm asking you to do is dangerous. We need your help to hide in my family.
Tell me where I can find Otto Frank.
Did you hear that? The Queen wants my diary.
We can't save everyone. But if I don't try, I don't think I'll be able to live with myself.
Escucha el podcast No te haces cuenta, edición especial, porque si queremos actuar, el tiempo también cuenta.
El día de la marcha puedes pretender que todas las personas ocupen el mismo lugar y convivan.
Día del Orgullo, 28 de junio, por National Geographic.
Up to date, the biggest rhino poaching syndicate in the southern hemisphere that was arrested. Big job that we did.
You see what they have done. What you do? And that's what I told you. What are doing? Sheep allowed to shoot us. Yeah. Yeah, we are no more. Yeah, what for I jump? What man put man and
didn't want it a boma and confinement for Thor. I went and did so much to make sure that Thor that's holding the flame, I wanted him to be out there and be the best rhino he can be. Very, very lying down. Oh, they're big. They must carry the torch that Thor lit and not let the flame of black rhinos die because of human greed. That flame must just burn and burn and let others start following for black rhino and white rhino and all other species that we can save in this lifetime.
Really what it comes down to now is whether people with different opinions, different value systems and different perspectives and positions in this are actually willing to get together and sit around the table and forge a solution that works for everybody, then there certainly is hope. The question is, can we?
Disunity will mean success or failure in saving the rhino. Unity. That is what will save the rhino.
Rhinos is the world's lives. It belongs to all of us. We're at the last minute of the last hour to make a difference.